everyone, it's Bryony, your favourite little period positive pixie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about sexuality. By the way, the little period positive pixie thing is sticking, it's my new intro, so hope you like it. Moving on to the topic of today's video, I really wanted to do this video because this is something I only recently figured out myself, and when I figured it out, it was so liberating to me to finally have a word that described the way I felt, and it's not a very well known word, so I figured it would maybe be helpful to put a video out there for those of you who maybe feel the same way but aren't aware that there's a word out there to describe it, or who are interested in learning a bit more about like the sexuality spectrum. So today I'm going to be talking about the sexuality that I identify as, which is graysexual. First of all, I need to clarify that this video is not talking about sexuality in terms of sexual orientation, which is the heterosexual to homosexual spectrum, you know, gay, straight, gay, bisexual, and everything in between with that. This is about your sexual attraction, which is referred to on the spectrum of asexual to Z-sexual. I'm going to guess that quite a few of you have come across the word asexual before, but probably less of you have heard of the word Z-sexual. So just a quick definition of the two. Asexual refers to people who do not experience sexual attraction to anybody, regardless of their gender, whether it's girl, boy, whatever, you don't experience sexual attraction to anybody. Whereas Z-sexual is you do experience a normal level of sexual attraction. A to Z, opposite ends of the spectrum, opposite ends of the alphabet, hence the reason they're there. But between asexual and Z-sexual, there's a whole other spectrum of sexualities within there that describe levels of sexual attraction that people feel. None of these terms have anything to do with your sexual orientation, with the exception of asexual, which I'll explain in a minute. So you can be gay, straight, bisexual, and also one of these terms as well. It's not reflective of that. It's purely reflective of your level of sexual attraction. So grey sexuality fits somewhere around here. It's like one step to the right of asexual. It's often known as grey asexual, grey ace, or even grace, I've heard it called before. Whereas asexual means somebody does not experience any level of sexual attraction, grey sexual means that you either very rarely experience it or you only experience it at a mild level. In my case, I rarely experience sexual attraction. Even though I didn't actually know the term grey sexual existed until much more recently, I was always aware that I was a little bit different from like my peer group. I remember at school when we'd have like those magazines with the cute guys in it, or we'd just be looking online, my friends would be flicking through these magazines and going, oh, he's handsome, he's cute, like, don't you fancy him, he's lovely. And I would just be like, how do you fancy so many people? Like, how do you find this many people attractive? I don't understand it. And then there might just be one guy in the whole magazine which I thought, he's okay. But otherwise, like, I just wasn't interested. And so originally I started thinking, does that mean I'm gay? Like, because I don't really like that many of these guys? Or what's going on? But I figured out I wasn't gay because I never looked at women with any sort of sexual interest at all, or with any interest in any way at all other than being friendly. But with the guys, whilst I rarely experienced any kind of attraction to them, it was always them I would give sort of a second glance to. You know, that kind of, no, you're not attractive. Oh, nope, still not attractive. So I did figure out quite early on that I was probably straight. However, initially I thought I just might be late to the game and I just wasn't experiencing sexual attraction because I was late hitting puberty, and therefore I thought I just must be late kind of feeling this way about guys too. But as I've got older and I've, you know, continued to interact with more and more members of the opposite sex, I've realised that this has pretty much stayed the same throughout this time. At first I even debated whether I might be asexual because I just hadn't experienced a sexual attraction to anybody, and I thought, well, must not be there. But then there came this one guy who kind of flipped the tables for me. So when I was 18, I met this guy, and actually I say I met him, but I'd known him for a long time before this, and then we just hadn't seen each other for many years. And he'd obviously gone through puberty during this time, as had I, and then I met him again, and I was suddenly, it was like being hit with a sexual attraction. That's the only way I can think to describe it. It was so strong, I was like, whoa. Okay. Was not expecting this. This is what it's all about. And that was when I realized I'm clearly not asexual because I do experience sexual attraction. Now, because of the fact that I'd actually known him before I saw him again and felt the sexual attraction, I did debate whether I might be a demisexual. Now, demisexual is somebody who needs an emotional connection to somebody before they could feel a sexual one. And like I said, because I'd known this guy before, even though I didn't know him really well, I debated whether this might be the case for me and that I might need to know somebody really well before I could experience sexual attraction. But there's a difference as well between needing to know somebody really well to feel a sexual attraction with them and needing to know somebody really well before you feel comfortable having sex with them. So that's something else I need to clarify here. The other thing to bear in mind that while there's a sexuality spectrum, there's also a romantic spectrum. So you have asexual and Z-sexual, you have aromantic and Z-romantic. And all the terms I've kind of mentioned, so graysexual, demisexual, there's quasi-sexual as well, I don't know if I've mentioned that one before, can also be, you know, referred to romantic. So you can have aromantic, grey romantic, demi-romantic, Z-romantic. And like I said before, it's pretty much just the flip side of the sexual stuff. It just refers to the romantic side. So you could be a grey romantic, which means that you rarely experience romantic attraction, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you rarely experience sexual attraction. Are you feeling confused yet? Trust me, I know it's a lot to take on, but bear with me. I'm going to stick to the sexuality spectrum just for the sake of this video, partly because I haven't really even figured out where I fit on the romantic spectrum, if I am. I think I'm Z-romantic. As far as I'm aware, I have no problem forming emotional attachments and romantic attachments to people, but the sexuality attachment, that's very different, and that's why I identify as graysexual. Since I met this guy, I've only met 2 other guys who I felt sexually attracted to. One was somebody who I met on a holiday, but I was aware quite early on he had a long-term girlfriend, so I didn't really look at him seriously to see if I could develop more of attraction there. And the other one was just some guy I randomly saw in the supermarket and just realised, my God, I'm attracted to you. But that's it, and I'm 21. I know I don't look it, but I promise you I am. I'm 21, and throughout those years of my life, I've only experienced a sexual attraction to somebody 3 times. And when I say that, I mean just even being attracted to somebody in a way of, hey, I might want to date you, 3 times. And that's why I am pretty confident that I identify as graysexual. I also call myself a straight graysexual, but there's a bit of a debate in the sort of sexuality world, I guess, about whether or not you can use terms like straight or bisexual or gay when it comes to terms like graysexual, because it's so closely linked to asexual. With asexuality, you don't experience sexual attraction to anyone, so in theory, you can't be straight or gay or bisexual because of that. But again, there's a lot of debate around this. However, for me, I've noticed it's only ever been men that I have been attracted to. On those rare occasions I have been attracted, and only ever men I've sort of looked at in that way. So I'm pretty confident that I am straight. So I do identify as myself as a straight graysexual because I do have sexual attraction. It's just very, very low. Like I mentioned before, there's a whole spectrum between asexual and Z-sexual, so if you think you might identify somewhere along the spectrum and you don't experience sexual attraction as much as some of your friends do, maybe you do fit along here and it might be worth doing some research into it. Certainly I know that for me, I did not expect figuring out that I was graysexual to be that big of a deal because I'm still straight. I don't face any sort of persecution for that on a daily basis because I like guys, so my life is naturally a bit easier. However, just knowing that there is a term out there that describes the way I feel and the way that I experience sexual attraction has been so liberating, because it just gives you a reason to think, oh, there's a word out there that actually describes the way I feel. I must not be that different from other people then, and feel sort of more normal just having this word. So whilst, yeah, it's probably not the biggest deal to a lot of people, to me it's actually been really, as I said before, really liberating just to know that there's a word out there that describes me. And I think that's what the whole sort of terms out there really are about. It's not necessarily about getting everyone to have to understand these different words that are out there, although of course it's nice and maybe useful for you to have some idea about them, but it's more just about people being able to have a word that describes themselves and feeling that they have something that validates the way that they feel. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Unfortunately, YouTube has currently disabled the comments on my YouTube channel, but I do have an Instagram and a Facebook page. The links will be down below and they're also at the end of this video if you want to go over there, and I will have a post up about this where you can post your thoughts and feelings on that. Yeah, do you identify as graysexual? Are you asexual or somewhere else along this spectrum? Let me know. I'd love to see it. If you've even heard about this before, or if you found this completely new and you've learned something new today, then that's great too. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do please subscribe, and don't forget you can get cloth pads and menstrual cups, my eco-friendly period products, from my website, Precious Stars. Link is down below. And I will see you not next week because I'm away next week. I'm off to Italy, but the week after. Anyway, guys, have a great time. Bye!